Welcome to FailCraft, the podcast where we dive into the messy, real side of success and explore how setbacks become the stepping stones to growth and clarity. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today's guest is Cyndee Dhalai. She has a story of resilience that is one of the most profound I've ever encountered. She's an author and a writer who has navigated just about everything from facing rejection from a young age, being disowned by family, starting from minus zero, and then losing 4 years of her life to a severe illness that had her flatline and left her in a wheelchair for over 11 years. She's here today to talk about how she learned to walk again when told it was impossible, and how she chooses to live, not just survive, and see life as miracle and magic after all of it. So, Cyndee, thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. It's great to be here also and to share what I've learned.
All right, let's dive in. Your story is one of overcoming so many immense setbacks at once. So you mentioned starting from minus zero and being in a wheelchair for 11 years and in a fog of severe illness. So can you take us back to that lowest point? What was the rock bottom moment for you, and what did it feel like?
Actually, throughout life, I mean, we all have it. We all have moments when we fall so far that we think, how am I going to get through this? What is going to be like? Do I have the strength? Do I have the support? Do I have anything that I can use to move forward? And in my
Mm,
case, it was when I chose to get married to someone who was outside my religion and who was not acceptable. I mean, we had to start with no support from anybody. And we just started with what we had. We were both teaching at the time. And so we built from there and we started. And together we made it. We worked together. We had our dreams, we had our plans, and we worked. Things happened unexpectedly along the way, but we made that happen. But what I didn't expect was, to get for my body to get ill. And that to me was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to face because I am a very active person and I love doing things. And with children and family and a job, I'm always on the go. And I like that. And I like my independence, to be quite frank, because, I can pick up myself, I can drive, I can go, I could do things. And then suddenly now it was like my own body was telling me, nope, stop. You can't do things again because the illnesses that are in my body is like lupus and chronic kidney disease. And I also have anemia. And on top of that, we found out that I was allergic to all medications, which mean that basically I can't get treatment that most people would get for the different illnesses they have. I can't get anything because if I do take it, because the doctors did try, like when symptoms became very severe and I flatlined on the medication and they said, okay, Cyndee, sorry, but there are no drugs that you can take. There's nothing that can help you, even if you have a minor pain. And that took a lot of adjusting to. In addition to which, I was in a wheelchair because my body, like I said, was rejecting everything. And because I had flatline, they thought that there was some neurological damage because I couldn't walk. So I was in a wheelchair. I did try to walk, but every time I'll take a few steps, or sometimes my legs would give out. And they said I can cause more damage actually trying to learn to walk again than if being in the wheelchair. So it was a struggle because I was trying to go back to where I was before my body got ill,
mm,
and I was putting stress on my family because they were worried. And then they did tell me that I have no idea what it's like when I flatline or when something happens to me because they're the one feeling it. Because basically, when I do go into the fog, when the illness became so severe, it's like my body was present, but I was not here.
mm.
So I wasn't really aware of all the things that happened to me. The information I got was like from my family and my medical reports and my doctors. So it was hard because imagine you're in a wheelchair, your life has taken a turn that you never expected at all. You can't do things. I mean, you actually cannot do things. So you have to learn to either accept it or to readjust to the life that you now had. And I did reach a point where it was like, this isn't what I want. I don't like this. Never expected this in my life to go from where I was to where I am now. I didn't see myself as being, I guess, what my illness had me as. Because in my mind, I was always thinking, no, this is not me. This is not how I want to be. I want to go back to my old life. I was a teacher and I love teaching young children. I want to go back to that. But then I was medically boarded because I was deemed unfit to continue teaching. So I didn't have a job. I lost my independence. No, I did have a very supportive husband at the time. And my children, the people around me were very, very supportive and they helped me a lot. But I didn't feel as if that was what I wanted. So, like I always tell everybody, listen, there is a rock bottom where you hit, but remember, rock bottom has a bottom. It has you do land on something, and the only way when you are down there is to go straight up. And that's what I kind of looked at it and I said, okay, my whole life I've always faced difficult stuff. And things do happen. So if you can get through those things, you can get through this also. So I started to say, okay, what are the advantages of me being in this position? Which is an odd thing to say because, what are the advantages of your whole life changing and nothing you did before you can do now? But I did. I said, okay, what are the advantages of me being in a wheelchair, having all these illnesses in my body and losing the life that I had and being in this position right now? And I did. I found out that the advantages were I had time to slow down. I had time to think. I learned to be more patient and to really listen to people. Not just
Mm.
hear the words, like sometimes somebody's talking to you, you're home with your children or your husband or you're with friends and stuff, but your mind is racing ahead. So you're not really hearing what they're telling you. And sometimes we miss the simple unspoken things or the body language. People might say, okay, I'm fine. But then there's something in their tone or a look on across their face. And we don't pick up on those things because we're so busy in our mind seeing what we have to do next or thinking how we're going to answer them. So I really learned
Mm.
to listen and be in the moment because that's all I had. And I also learned to do things that I thought of doing, but I never really explored. So I started, I have always done art. I did art in high school. So I started doing calligraphy and my children love different types of cooking. So I started learning to cook and to bake and I love designing. So I started sewing my own clothes and stuff like that. So you see, you can find outlets. So those are my advantages. And that is where I found a sense of peace and contentment in being where I was at the time.
Wow, wow, wow. That is such an inspirational journey. So, Cindy, let's talk about the physical side. You were told you'd never walk again, yet you still went on that journey to defy those odds. So, where did that belief come from when doctors said it was impossible? Where did you get the belief to still go on a journey to defy those odds?
My whole life, I grew up in an East Indian culture. And so that was a different religion. But I live in a multicultural society because where I live, we have different religions, different races, and the schools are incorporated with different peoples and stuff. And the school I went to, there were a lot of people who had different religions. And I was very open to all kind of religions, all the different religions there were. I'd read all the books about all the different, because I was always a curious child. I still am curious, actually. So, I read about all the different religions and I talked to people and it opened me up to a large extent. And one thing I always had was faith because that is what got me through everything. And it wasn't like faith, like praying to one specific God in a specific way or whatever. I'll just say, because I remember when I was in a situation when I was growing up and I didn't understand why something I did that was right was being criticized anyway. So I went outside. It was nighttime and I climbed up a tree and I said, God, what am I doing wrong? What am I supposed to be doing now? Because I thought I did the right thing and everybody's telling me I'm wrong. What is wrong with me? And I didn't get an answer, but what I did get was a sense of this is who I am. This is the way I think. This is the person I am. And I am not made to be like anybody else. And that's what I
Mm,
kind of continue to do. I mean, I kept to think that everybody has a right to their own opinion. And I can't control what other people would think or what they would say about me. But what I can do is control how I see myself. So when I was first diagnosed with the illnesses and like we got names for it because it had been happening periodically, like throughout the years. But like, every time you go to the doctor, they will treat one symptom and then I'd get a reaction to something. But we always thought that, it was just that drug or this instant. And somehow my body would like kind of like fix itself. So we didn't take it too much until it became so bad and it had like reached a peak. And I remember when they did tell me, okay, Cyndee, you have lupus and you have chronic kidney disease, and they did all the testing and that they could because they couldn't really test much with me because the drugs they would use to test the extent of the chronic kidney disease and the anemia and stuff like that would kill me. Basically, that's what it was because it was a catch-22. To find out how bad my body was, they would have to use things that could kill me, right?
mm,
So
yeah.
physically, I was in there, and I remember that after my husband, he passed away on Christmas Eve, and that was going to be like 4 years ago. And I was by myself because my children are grown and they're married and they have their own lives. And I said, I was not going to be a burden to anybody. I do not want to be in this position here where I have people, because they deserve their own lives. They are really, really good people and they have their own lives. They have their spouses. They have their own path to follow. And I don't want to hold them back and I don't want to be, like a burden and restricting them. So I remember I sat down and I said, God, you know that this is where I am. You know why you have me here. You know my situation now. And the only person who can help me is you. So it's in your hands. I mean, that's a strange way to talk to God, but that's how I usually talk, right? So I said, it's in your hands and only you can help me. And I left it at that. And after that, like, I just said, the only thing I can do is try. So I started trying because, like, I had walkers and canes and stuff like that. Because I had used a cane for a little while before I ended up really, really bad. And I said, okay, Cyndee, you can do this a little bit, just a few minutes, just try it. So I would start bit by bit by bit. And okay, I stood up, I made a few steps, right? I did fall, I did thing, but I was very careful in that because I was alone. I couldn't take the risk of, damaging. And little by little, it began to come. And like every day I would pray and I would say, okay, I did a few steps today. It's a little better. Lord, I need you. Come again. And so that's what you have to do. And that's what I did. And like it took about 4 months. And then I was beginning to like walk a little bit more and, be able to stand up without suddenly dropping down. And nobody understood how I could do it. I didn't understand how I could do it either. Because medically, the doctors and everybody were amazed the fact that I could actually do these things. When, I mean, medically, I'm not supposed to be able to do it. But then I did say, I said, well, not everything, because they didn't expect me to live after all the illnesses and flatlining and stuff like that. They didn't, sometimes they were worried because the cognitive functions, the extent of how bad the illness was, every time I flatlined, nobody was sure if I would come back and have brain function and be normal. And yet I did.
All right, all right. So you are an author, Cindy. So did writing your books become part of your healing process? Was it a way to reclaim your own story?
Actually, I've always written in my mind, just that I never put it down on paper. And I have this very, very close friend who we would talk and they said, listen, you are in a place where everything seems to be confusing. So they asked me one question to focus. And they said, just write me whatever comes. Don't think about it. Just write me. And I did that. And what came out was poetry. And I always think in poetry, which is like kind of I've done that ever since I could remember. And what came out was a whole series of poems. And that kind of opened the floodgate because I focused on what I felt and what I saw, on what affected me. Because that's how I write. I write what I feel, And I'm a very visual and sometimes inner person. So I wrote poetry and that's when I published my first poetry book. Then after my husband, like he died, but I thought I was dealing with the grief. And, we all think we are coping with the loss and you have things to do and you have to reorganize your life. And It will hit you and you think, okay, I'm moving forward, time is passing, because that's what we get told. But then something happened and I lost someone who was very, very close to me and it crashed. And that's where my book came out. Like the book, actual novel came out because I realized that what I thought I was managing, I was really trying to control. So it just came out and I just wrote. To be honest with you, sometimes I have no idea where the words come from, but I just write.
All right, all right. So for the person listening right now who is in their own fog, maybe dealing with illness or grief or deep rejection, and they feel like, they're starting from -0. So what is the first piece of advice you give to someone like that?
The first piece of advice I would give to someone who feels as if, okay, I have no avenue open to me. I don't know what to do. I feel lost here. This is too much. First thing I tell you is stop
Hmm.
and look at yourself as you are right now. You are here for a reason. There is only one of you in this world, and you were not created to just remain stuck or be pushed down. And accept yourself as you are, accept the situation that you are in, and look at it through new eyes. Now, when I say look at things through new eyes, I mean, yes, maybe you're in a situation where someone left you. Maybe you're in a situation where someone who you cared about is no longer in your life. Not they passed away, but there was a breakup or for some other reason. Or maybe you lost a job, or maybe you're going through a difficult time. What I would tell you is look at what you have. Look around you. Look at what I have. Okay, I still probably I have a place to stay. I might have food. I might have some finances, limited as they are. I might have friends around who I can turn to. But then, okay, that's the outside thing. But look at where you are. I have gone through a lot in my life and I got through it. Okay, what can I do while I am in it? What are the advantages of me being in this position where I'm feeling lost and rejected and betrayed and I'm in pain and I've lost a lot of things. What are the no, that's a strange thing, but ask yourself, what are the advantages? Maybe it's a time to stop and take a hold of what you actually want in life. Maybe you need to stop and ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from this? Not what's wrong with me. Never ask yourself what's wrong with you because there's nothing wrong with you. Experiences come into your life to teach you something, not to show you that you are wrong. They come in your life to teach you what you are and what you are capable of becoming, right? Because if you look back at things that happened to you before that you thought were hard and that it would never work out, and maybe they did work out. Why? So you have to tell yourself, I got through that. Things worked out then and things are going to work out now. And maybe I just need to stop and take stock of myself and appreciate myself for who I am and see, okay, I lost a job. So what can I do? How can I move on? Well, the advantages are you can apply for different jobs. You can probably check out some other courses that you can do. You can ask advice from other people. You can probably look at a different field, explore different options and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to entail a lot of expense. It's not if okay, yes, but I have money. I don't have money to do these courses. I don't have to. Yeah, but you can do a lot of things online for free. Go on
Hmm.
YouTube, watch a video learning to do something. Reach out to people. There's nothing wrong in saying, listen, this is where I am and I'm looking to explore. Can you give me advice? There's nothing wrong. Because very often you think you should feel ashamed because something bad happened in your life, or people are going to look at you bad if you say, listen, I need help. But that is not you lowering yourself. That is you seeing yourself as you are, accepting where you are, and finding a way to become who you're always meant to be.
All right, all right. Fantastic piece of advice there. Really great one. So, Cindy, after this incredible journey of rebuilding your life from the ground up, so what does being successful truly mean to you now?
Success is not based on material things, actually. That's what I have found. It's not based on how many people buy your books or what people would write about you in reviews. or getting all the publishing contracts you want. That is not success. Success is really, to me, becoming who you are. It's about
Mm-hmm.
feeling a sense of peace and contentment and satisfaction in knowing, okay, I was there, but with faith and with persistence and with seeing myself as who I am, I took a step forward. I took a risk. I took the chance and I'm here now. So success really is about being happy with yourself and with your efforts and knowing that I did my best. Even when things were hard, I did try. I stepped out. I didn't stay in the comfort zone. I didn't let myself remain in the quagmire that I thought life was. I stepped out and I did something and I proved what I'm capable of. And I found out that there's more to me than even what I believe. So that is success. Success is really being happy and reaching for what you want, yes. But it's about finding your own self and your own happiness and your own sense of contentment and your own sense of fulfillment in everything that you do, no matter how small it is.
All right, that was an interesting one. So, finally, Cindy, for our listeners who were inspired by your story, I'd want and want to follow your journey or learn more about your writing. So, where is the best place for them to connect with you?
Okay, well, I have two books on Amazon.com. One is a poetry book, Pieces of Me Touch My Soul, and the other is Grief is the Price You Pay for Love. That one is written by under the pseudonym of Fayalian. Both are available on Amazon.com. They are available in ebooks on Kindle also if you want. And it's just for 99 cents, so it's not much. Also, I am on LinkedIn, and my name, Cyndee Dhalai at LinkedIn. And there's also the author's website for fayalian.com.
All right. This has been such a moving and powerful conversation, Cindy. It's an honor to have you on the show, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. It's really good to actually be able to speak to people and to let people know that no matter how much life may throw at you, it doesn't
Mm.
define who you are. Only you can set your expectations and determine and define who you are because there's only one of you in life.